Yeah. So what I'm promoting and running down here is the Old Grey Mouse, and with certain associates is something that I'm calling S.E.C.T.R training, which is S.E.C.T.R, because hey, it's 2025 and you've got to have a catchy acronym or whatever. So what it stands for is Scenario and Environment Centered Training and Research. But I'll tell you where it comes from. So I've been teaching Krav Maga for quite a few years, and before that, life history, varied situations and stresses and strains and traumas and triumphs and all that sort of stuff. And throughout my family, like most of us also. So what I noticed over the last few years is quite often the nature of people who come in for in my case Krav Maga training or self-defense training, when you make that available in the daytimes, it's quite often a slightly different nature to your sort of normal nighttime group classes. So what was happening down here was I started to see a pattern in when people would book like a trial class for a daytime class, which were always quieter. They were quite often sort of 1 to 5 people or thereabouts, and almost inevitably, if somebody booked a trial class within a 24-hour time period, so they book it at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night, and the class is at 9 o'clock the next day, what I was starting to see was that something had either just happened, or it was a near miss, or something had happened that had brought something back from the past for people. They were feeling unsafe. They were feeling like they didn't have the confidence or the resources or the skills to overcome this situation or scenario, or the environment that they were in. Now, those environments were almost always, so for adults, were almost always in the workplace and in the home. And it was a really varied, so to talk about the workplace, for example, the people in the retail sector cop a lot of violence and abuse and threats and all that sort of stuff, and just bad manners really, and stress and even verbal aggression from people. But I've had prison officers come in here based on nothing but a look that was exchanged between them and an inmate in a prison. Lots of people that work in the health sector, including sort of paramedics and some surprising ones. I've had people that do sort of education, health education, in places like prisons. And they're feeling unsure and unsafe about the environment that they're going into. So what I'm calling S.E.C.T.R training, that's really what it's about. And what I found was, so Krav Maga is a fantastic system for general preparation for physical violence and aggression and verbal aggression and protecting others in conflict and all that sort of stuff. It's fantastic for all of those things, but what I was finding was that quite often the people that were coming in during the day for these specific scenarios and environments that they worked or lived in, quite often it was a really limited set of problems that they were being challenged with. I've spoken to a health worker who, with other health workers, would have to do assessments on people face to face, and like I am right now, he would be sitting in a chair. His back would be to a corridor, and they had procedures and all that sort of stuff, because there were other rooms along this corridor, how to literally look after each other's back. Not all workplaces and not all of these places have that. And quite often, it would be this one situation. Maybe it's gone wrong before, or maybe it was a near miss, and people are traumatized. You know, we're all human, and when we have the brain tries to protect us, and when we're faced with that same situation all the time, even though the threat might not be there, we can respond as if the threat's still there. So one way of coming back into that calm, rational zone, out of that fight, flight, freeze, fawn stress response, is to actually train your responses to the threats that might have happened before, or you're picturing the worst outcome happening all the time, and we're starting to have those physiological symptoms. Hey, it happens to all of us. This training place that I'm in right now, I spent a period of time where in the place where I was staying, I was having really bad stress response, couldn't sleep or anything if a car pulled up outside. So I actually slept down here for a period of time. Don't tell the council or whatever, it's probably illegal, but you know, there are worse things one could do. So that's what this S.E.C.T.R training is all about. We do it in groups of no more than 4. We do it during the workday. Lots of people who need this are the type of people, they're givers, and they quite often feel bad for sort of spending money on themselves and their own state of mind, etc. But most of these people are looking out for you and me. Circumstances in my own life, I have reason to be incredibly grateful to paramedics. I have reasons to be incredibly grateful to mothers, both by blood and otherwise, and sisters and aunties in my life, and uncles, medical professionals, etc., mental health professionals. So a lot of the people that would benefit from this training tend to be, they'll put themselves last, but for them to continue to put us first, sometimes we need to put them first. So if there are people in your life that this would apply to, this is for you also, maybe to pass on to them. Cool. Get in touch. I'm happy to do half-hour just training needs analysis. We can do that over the phone, we can do it in person. I can come to you, you can come to me here in Willerton, and we can work it out from there. Cool. So that's S.E.C.T.R training.